Today is Monday, October 26, 2009, and I am Phoebe Connor, and you're watching CNN Nightly News, Channel 53. Today's top story is the remembrance of the donora smog incident when a temperature inversion caused by sulfuric acid, nitrogen dioxide, and fluorine filled the air, killing 20 people. Now we will turn to Allie Lansky out in Donora to see the results of the event and to never forget those who died on this date 61 years ago.
Thanks, Phoebe. I'm Allie Lansky, and I am here in the town of Donora, Pennsylvania. Behind me stands the Donora Smog Museum, which was opened in 2008 to help explain what went on those few days in Donora in 1948. Today inside, many have gathered to honor the anniversary of the tragic event that occurred in this town. I remember sitting in the football stands, not even being able to see the field. The air was so smoky, I could hold my hands up in front of my face and not even be able to see them. When anyone looked towards the factory, they could see the colored copper dust being expelled from the smokestacks. I have never seen the sky so dark, especially during the middle of the day. At first, no one knew what was happening, so we just continued with our normal day life until people had difficulty breathing. The conditions eventually improved, but not soon enough, as many of us were affected. Today at noon, Mamie Burkhart and other members of Donora met at the Donora Smog Museum to reflect on the disaster that changed their town and led to safer environmental practices. In 1948, from October 26th to the 31st, thousands of residents were admitted into the hospital with respiratory problems. Firefighters even went door to door to administer residents with oxygen from their breathing tanks. Finally, on the Sunday, which was also Halloween, the factory temporarily shut down its facilities. The stopping of fumes being released into the air and the afternoon-evening rain helped disperse the fog to allow the air to return back to safe breathing conditions. Earlier today, I met with meteorologist Joe Donardo to help explain what environmental factors contributed to the donora smog to get a better understanding on what caused the incident.
It is caused by a supersaturation of air that becomes so concentrated the air can no longer hold water vapor. Instead of raining, it forms fog close to the ground. A temperature inversion occurs when the warm air is pushed above the layer of cold air, which blocks it from moving, trapping dust and other particles in the air. Smog is fog that has become polluted with particles, especially from burning coal.
So how did the Donora Zinc factory come into play?
The Donora Zinc Works factory expelled high concentrations of the toxins fluoride, sulfur, and carbon oxides through the smokestacks from burning coal, which then became trapped near the ground due to the heavy fog. This blanket of fog and air prevented the air from dispersing the amount of chemicals and instead kept all the pollutants over the city, reducing the amount of clean oxygen affecting the breathing of citizens.
Thanks for the clarification. Earlier today, I also spoke with Pennsylvania Congresswoman Kathy Delkemper about government air quality policies.
First, we should be very thankful for the people of Donora for helping people realize the negative effects of pollution and helping to promote the federal interaction with the Clean Air Act of 1970. The act stated that the Environmental Protection Agency was to establish and enforce standards of pollutants that could be emitted into the air. It also divided the pollutants into two categories: primary, which directly affects humans when in the air, or secondary, in which they affect us after they react with something.
Is there anything currently being done to further promote clean air?
Currently, the majority of our air pollution is coming from transportation. To promote cleaner air, we are pushing for companies to create more efficient and environment-friendly vehicles that will emit less pollution.
Thank you, Congressman Kathy. I am Allie Lansky, reporting from Donora, Pennsylvania. Now I send you back to Phoebe in the studio.
Thanks, Allie. The Donora Zinc factory was quoted saying, "We are certain that the principal offender in the tragedy was the unprecedentedly heavy fog which blanketed the borough for 5 consecutive days, a phenomenon which no resident could ever recall happening before." Despite the factory's claim they had no part in the 20 Donora residents' deaths, federal studies show that the factory was responsible and therefore was required to pay over $4 million in settlement lawsuits. The city is still being affected by the episode. The population went from around 14,000 in 1948 to only 5,000 residents now, in which 1/3 are the elderly. Families are afraid to live and to have their children grow up there, partly because of the fact that 5,971 cases of lung issues have been from the results of the smog after the incident. Also, as many as 5,000 jobs were lost in 1959 when the United States Steel Factory was closed. I am Phoebe Connor from Fox News as we sign off today with a remembrance of the deaths of the 20 victims.
All that I'm after is a life full of laughter. Without you, God knows what I'd do. Yeah, all that I'm after is a life full of laughter. It's Love